What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of NBA basketball action here on Sunday, March 2nd. We're going to break down every NBA game tonight. We're also going to look at a few of the biggest college basketball games on the slate. We're going to look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure to check that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there's any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed. Guys, Saturday went pretty well so far. It's not completely over with. We're recording a little bit early, but right now we're off to a 3-1 start. We had Clemson minus 6.5. Caught a lot of flack for that play down there in the comments. They come through, though, with a comfortable win for us. We had Providence plus 6.5. They weren't able to keep that one quite competitive enough, but we finished things off strong. Auburn minus 4.5. That game was pretty much never in doubt there, so a solid win for number one Auburn, looking basically unstoppable right now. We had Texas Tech plus 4.5 going against a lot of what was being said out there in the community, but I just didn't see any way Kansas, even playing at home in that crazy environment, were going to beat Texas Tech. And sure enough, guys, Texas Tech comes through getting the actual straight-up win. We still have Florida minus 9.5. That one's still live, so we'll see how things go down the stretch. Hopefully we can come away with a 4-1 day. If you want to win all of your bets today, do me a big favor, hit that like button. It's good luck. And guys, if we can get to 1,000 likes on this video, we're going to give away a free Stump the Spread hoodie. Also, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my daily uploads. And also, once we get to 50,000 subscribers, we're about 1,500 subscribers away. We're at 48,500-ish. We're going to be giving away a free hoodie for that as well. Guys, you can also now sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all of my videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. But probably more importantly, guys, you get access to my members only exclusive giveaways that I'm doing once a month. The dream is to get to where I'm doing those once a week. So the more members we get, the more giveaways we're going to do. But we will be giving away this March hoodie probably somewhere right around the start of the NCAA tournament. I would say that's probably be the most fun time to give that away. The hype will be at an all-time high. So I appreciate all you members out there. Thanks for making the channel even bigger and better. Guys, all of our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering NBA, college basketball, UFC, NHL, and Major League Baseball is right around the corner. Click the link in the description to head over to StumpTheSpread.com and check us out. If you're not sure if a premium package is right for you right now, just try us out by signing up for our free email list. That'll get you updates on our results and free picks straight to your inbox. So comment below with any bets you're looking at today. We'll give you our best advice on all of them. We're committed to responding to every single comment every day. So let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the night. We got the Denver Nuggets going on the road to take on the Boston Celtics. That is a noon tip, and this game is going to be on ABC. And obviously, you know, it's a showdown of two pretty solid teams, guys. I mean, Denver comes into this one fresh off a nice 134-119 win there at Detroit. A game a lot of people were saying we should take Detroit. We were on the Nuggets, and Denver managed to come through for us there. No problem. Jokic, a triple-double. No shock there. They snapped that 8-game winning streak by the Pistons, a team we've been more than happy to back here recently, but I just didn't see any way they were going to have a great time against, an actual elite team like these Denver Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. emerged from his shooting slump. He was a plus 35, scored 28 points. Jokic got to the line 12 times, a lot for him. He usually doesn't get that much respect from the officials, but 23 points, 17 rebounds, 15 assists. Crazy stuff. Jamal Murray had a great game, scoring 31 points. We just loved what we saw from everybody basically in the starting lineup there for the Nuggets. The problem is the bench is still looking pretty sparse, so gonna have to find something of a spark there. Westbrook only scoring 8 points, not generally gonna get the job done. So we'll see what they can do in terms of their bench here going forward, but right now we like what we're seeing from Denver. They come into this game relatively healthy. Aaron Gordon still on the injury list dealing with that ankle. Seems like he's a pretty true questionable for this game. He missed that Friday win over the Pistons, so yeah, we'll see. It seems like this is going to be a pretty close to game time decision, so we probably won't know on him either way until, way too late to make any sort of changes to the pinned comment. But we'll see what they can do here on the road against the Celtics, who have actually lost 2 in a row. They lost at the Pistons, then they lost in that, crazy barn burner of a game there against the Cavaliers, where Boston came out so hot. We saw Tatum and Brown both celebrating and stuff there in the first quarter when they went out to that huge lead, and doesn't look too good there at the end when they end up losing this one 123-116. So we'll see if they got to bounce back in them. Obviously, that's not a great look. They shut the lights out in the first quarter, but yeah, we just didn't see them. They couldn't continue to do that. They ended up shooting 43% from 3, very good. But when you're losing games and you shoot the ball that well, it's time to start looking around for some answers. And one answer I would say is, at least in that game, the bench looked terrible. Pritchard, 6 points off the bench, but he was a minus 36. Nobody coming off the pine there for Boston had anything to really offer there against a very very good bench unit there for Cleveland. So we'll see what the Celtics can do here, see if they've got a bounce back in them. Obviously, that bench situation needs to be addressed, but a lot of the problem there was depth and, just in general, their injury report being pretty bad. I mean, Porzingis didn't even play in that game. That's obviously a big deal. Jrue Holiday being out has not helped either. He's doubtful for this game with his finger being injured still. We see Jaylen Brown on the injury report as well, so that's something that we definitely have to monitor, and Porzingis still on there. Jaylen Brown, guys, dealing with a right knee pain apparently. He's questionable for this game, and Porzingis, guys, dealing with an illness. Sounds like he's probably not going to be playing. He's doubtful for this game as well. So the Celtics are still 2.5-point favorites in this one. We've got a total of 137.5. Denver, 15-16 against the spread on the road. They're 20-17-1 against spread after a win. Boston, only 11-18 against spread at home. They are 13-4 against spread after a loss. That's an NBA best mark against spread after a loss. But guys, with no Porzingis, and we've got Jokic out there for the Nuggets, I know they're on the road here, but they haven't been a bad road team. There's a chance Aaron Gordon plays in this game, so it could be the full-strength Nuggets here. I do think we'll see something better from the Celtics bench, but I don't think it's going to be enough of a difference here, guys. Definitely give me the Denver Nuggets at plus 2.5. This has a very good chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the Portland Trailblazers going on the road to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Portland comes in this game winners of 4 in a row, so they're I'm not sure we can exactly say they're making some noise, but Portland, I mean, they currently find themselves 4 games back of Sacramento for the 10 seed, so that's probably too big of a gap for them to make up, but they've been playing really well here down the stretch. It's not like they've been beating the toughest teams. The schedule has been helping. I mean, wins over Brooklyn, Washington, Utah, and, the Hornets. Not exactly barn burners, but they'll definitely take it. This young team is showing some promise in their 121-102 win there against the Nets. We were on Portland in that game, so thank you, Portland, for coming through. We loved what we saw from Shadion Sharp there in the starting lineup. Love to see him in there. That's not a problem at all. We saw Banton play really well off the bench. Some positive stuff from Scoot Henderson, despite a bad shooting night from 3. And as a team, guys, Portland shot 41, almost 42% from long range. So very, very good stuff there. They did get kind of blown away on the board, so that's something to keep in mind. But right now, liking a lot of what we're seeing from Portland in terms of their injury report, guys. We see Denny Edgeva and Jeremy Grant both on there, so that is a concern. Denny, guys, he's questionable again with that quad issue. Jeremy Grant is also questionable with that knee. Is there any chance these guys come back and play in this game? It sounds it's definitely possible, but probably nowhere close to a lock, especially with Jeremy Grant here. They're probably not, super jazzed up to be, bringing these guys back fast from injury. So we'll see what they can do here on the road against the Cavaliers, who are fresh off that crazy win against Boston. A big comeback, massive day from Donovan Mitchell. We saw some really big plays from Evan Mobley and some big shot making from Evan Mobley down the stretch. Darius Garland had a few concerning possessions at the end of the game, so that's something to monitor. But really, guys, very, very good stuff. It was the bench that ended up winning this game for the Cavaliers. I mean, we saw DeAndre Hunter, 12 points, a plus 21 off the bench. Ty Jerome, a plus 34 with his 8 points off the bench. And even Sam Merrill was a plus 22 with only 3 points coming off the bench in his 18 minutes. So a lot of positives there for the bench players. Some good stuff across the board, though, guys. I mean, Evan Mobley really came up big in that game down the stretch. So loving what we're seeing right now from Cleveland. They come into this game, in terms of their health, looking very, very good. Donovan Mitchell, probably not going to play in this game, though. Not for any sort of injury, just ruled out due to rest. They want to keep him fresh here down the stretch. And that does put, a little bit more stress on this lineup. But guys, I don't know. The Cavaliers are still real freaking good, and they're 10.5-point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 229.5. Portland, 16-13-1 against spread on the road, 17-8-1 against spread after win. That's the second best against spread after win in the NBA. Cleveland, 20-10-1 against spread at home, 33-14-1 against spread after win. That is the NBA best against spread after win. This is a tough spot, guys. I'm honestly shading here a bit towards the Portland Trailblazers. I think Cleveland's going to be in a little bit of a letdown spot here. It's kind of a weird day. It's a day game, so that makes things a little bit unusual. So give me Portland to keep this game close-ish, but this is going nowhere near the pin comment. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Chicago Bulls going on the road to take on the Indiana Pacers. The Bulls at 24-36 on the year, not exactly killing it. I mean, they find themselves pretty locked into that 10 seed, although, I guess you could say Brooklyn's kind of threatening, but the Bulls, fresh off a nice 10-point win there against Toronto Raptors. This isn't a team that's designed to be competing right now, but they've got some guys out there they're going to be trying. I mean, we loved what we saw from Jacoby White, 24 points from him, 19 from Giddey, who's played really well recently. Playing some pretty heavy minutes, I will say that. Zach Collins has also been playing well. He put up 15 points, 13 boards, and 5 assists, and was at plus 28. the bench has some pieces now. I mean, Kevin Huerter coming off the pine doesn't look bad. Ayo DeSumo's doing some good things off the bench as well, and they won this game despite shooting 26.5% from three-point range. So, some positives, definitely some positives mixed in there for the Chicago Bulls. They come into this game in terms of their injury report. I mean, I would say it's pretty freaking crowded, guys. I mean, Giddey's on there, Lonzo Ball's on there, Jacoby White's on there. We see Vujacic listed as out for this game, DeSumo listed as out, Kevin Huerter day to day. Like, a lot of guys probably missing in this game for Chicago. So definitely plenty of room for concern. Giddey, what is it? It's not even clear really what he's on the injury report for right now. Maybe they're sitting him out for rest. Maybe they're just sitting him out because they're tanking. So we'll see how that goes. Lonzo Ball with his wrist issue is probable, so it sounds like he'll be out there. Jacoby White also on the injury report. Unclear what he's on there for too. Kind of a weird injury report right now coming out from the Chicago Bulls. So Huerter is questionable with a right knee sprain. I would say he's much closer to doubtful than actually questionable. So it seems like it's probably not going to be the full strength Chicago Bulls. Maybe not quite as banged up as that injury report would lead you to believe, but they've got their hands full potentially in this one, guys. They're going on the road to take on the Indiana Pacers, who are 33-25 on the season. They're fresh off a 125-120 loss there at the Miami Heat, though. So not exactly what they had in mind. Siakam, a monster day, 36 points from him, and it was very efficient scoring as well. Halliburton played pretty well, 19 points, 10 assists, but yeah, aside from Miles Turner, they didn't get a whole lot else. The bench looked pretty bad. They managed to lose this game despite shooting a staggering 53.8% from the three-point line. They just couldn't defend the Miami Heat, which is pretty wild. We saw a big day from Duncan Robinson. He had 20 points. Alec Burks played really, really well. Tyler Hero putting up 29. Just up and down the roster, the Heat played amazing. So definitely a bounce back spot here for the Pacers. They're going to be hoping to get back on track a little bit. And I mean, this has been a pretty decent team. Right now they find themselves where they fifth in the East, tied there with the Bucks for the 4 seed, one game up on the Pistons as they kind of battle it out to see who's going to get home court advantage in the first round there in the Eastern Conference. The Pacers injury report looks about how you would expect it. I mean, nothing major. Benedict Mathurin is on there. He's listed as out for this game with that wrist issue. He's going to miss at least a couple games, so that's not ideal. A very, very useful piece coming off the bench for them. So missing anybody in the rotation is bad, but I don't think it's the end of the world here. We see the Pacers, they come into this one as 9.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 245. Chicago 13-14-1 against spread on the road. They are 7-14-2 against spread after a win, so that's not a great look. The Pacers, they're 500 against the spread team at home. They're 13-10-1 against spread after a loss. Guys, I think this is a very good spot to take the Indiana Pacers to win this game by double digits. The Bulls are not a team that's designed to be winning right now. It seems like they're going to be resting at least a few guys. Maybe not everybody, maybe not as many people as on that very crowded injury report, but I think we'll see several Chicago Bulls rotation guys not playing in this game. So give me the Pacers here at -9.5. I think they can get the double-digit win for us in this one. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. This is a great time to sign up for StumpTheSpread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our top confidence plays on all the major sports. We're currently covering NCAA basketball, the NBA, NHL, UFC, and the NFL. We have a team of professional cappers that work extremely hard putting in the research on these games every day so you don't have to. We make things very easy for you with pick notifications directly to your phone and unit sizes assigned to each play so you can see where our confidence level is on every individual matchup. To test out the service before you buy, join our free email list, get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Just click the link in the description to sign up for a free account. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Now guys, back to the games. Next up, guys, we've got a pretty interesting game. We've got the New York Knicks going on the road to take on the Miami Heat. The Knicks 39-20 on the season, fresh off a much-needed 114-113 win there against the Grizzlies. It was tough. A lot of different points. It looked like the Knicks probably were not going to come away with the win in that one. They shot 34% from 3, so fine, but not amazing. The bench looked pretty bad, except for Miles McBride, who played really well. 17 points and a +9 from him off the pine. So that was pretty good. Mitchell Robinson came back, only played 12 minutes, but they were very productive 12 minutes, guys. He put up 6 points, was a +11, also had 5 rebounds and an assist. So some very good stuff there from Mitchell Robinson. Basically normal from everybody else except for Karl-Anthony Towns. He did play in this game, which was not guaranteed. He played 31 minutes, only had 11 points and 7 rebounds, and was a -10. He had 5 personal fouls, so that's part of the problem, but yeah, I'm worried about that knee. I don't know that Karl-Anthony Towns is fully healthy, but he's going to get tested here very likely, going on the road to take on the Heat. We'll see how that goes for him. We'll see what the injury report looks like here, and it's pretty clean, guys. It looks like Josh Hart on there, but he's on there a lot. I fully expect him to play. Yeah, he's even listed as probable. Mitchell Robinson, we'll see what kind of minutes restriction he stays on. They're not going to be ramping him up too aggressively. He is probable as well. I would expect to see him somewhere around the 12 to 15 minutes at the most kind of mark. So we'll see what they do here on the road against the Miami Heat team that's 28-30 on the year. They have won 2 in a row, taking down the Pacers and the Atlanta Hawks, but this isn't a team that's really been, too impressive recently. They're 4 full games back of the Pistons there for the 6th seed, so it looks like they're going to be in the play-in with the likes of like the Orlando Magic, the Atlanta Hawks, and probably the Chicago Bulls. So we'll see what they do in this one against the Pacers. They played really, really well. Absolutely shot the lights out. Tyler Hero having a great night. Duncan Robinson having a great night. Like, not a lot of negatives to find in that one for the Miami Heat, but is that the kind of thing they can keep up? It seems unlikely. We're not going to have Jaime Jaquez Jr. out there for the Heat for quite some time. That was a pretty nasty roll of the ankle, so that has to feel pretty bad. Andrew Wiggins is on the injury report as well. He's listed as doubtful with his ankle injury, so definitely not going to be the full-strength Heat here, and that's part of the reason they're getting 5.5 points at home. We get a total of 224.5. The Knicks, 14-14 against spread on the road. They're 17-20-1 against spread after a win. Miami, 12-13 against spread at home, 9-18 against spread after a win. So not a very good team coming off a win. Guys, I think this is a letdown spot for the Miami Heat. Give me the Knicks here in South Beach. I think they get a comfortable win and cover here. They're just going to put up too much offense for Miami to deal with. I don't know if this goes in the pin comment or not. I'm a little bit worried about the health of Karl-Anthony Towns and stuff like that, but I do think this is definitely a spot you want to be on the Knicks. They're in much, much better health than these Miami Heat. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Toronto Raptors. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Orlando Magic. The Raptors are 18-42 on the season. They've lost 3 in a row, just losing at the Chicago Bulls their last time out, so that's not a great look. They do have some occasional good games, like they played the Celtics to a 10-point loss there for Toronto. They were semi-competitive against the Pacers, I guess, and competitive against the Bulls, but you're supposed to be beating teams like the Bulls. So we'll see what they can do here down the stretch. It has not been smooth sailing, like I've said about Toronto. I mean, it's been a little bit rough. Scotty Barnes did have a nice day, 24 points from him, pretty efficient shooting numbers, 23 from Quickly, 13 from Grady Dick, who's really fallen off here in the second half of the season. They did a great job on the boards against Chicago, but that hasn't been something you can always count on, and this bench, guys, is very, very hit or miss. So we'll see what goes on down the stretch. They're a team that's trying to get healthy out here, but that hasn't necessarily been super easy. And even when they have been healthy, it hasn't been smooth sailing either. We see the whole starting lineup is ready to go, so that's definitely a big step in the right direction. We'll see if that equates to wins or not, but that could be a bit of a big ask. But right now, at least health-wise, they're looking good as they go on the road to take on the Orlando Magic, who come into this game 29-32 on the season. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They did keep things pretty competitive there against the Warriors. They just had 0 answer there for a crazy, crazy Steph Curry night. The bad news right now for Orlando is that Jalen Suggs is out indefinitely with a knee injury. So don't know when we're going to see Suggs again, but we do know it's not going to be anytime soon. Paolo Banchero put up a massive game there against the Warriors, so big props to him, but putting up a huge game in a loss, that has to feel pretty freaking bad. It's really been weird. Honestly, I had more, trust in this team before Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner came back. Like, I thought once their 2 big guns came back, they would be absolutely killing out there, but that just has not really been the case. So we'll see what they can do in this one. They're fully healthy, with the exception of Jalen Suggs, like we were talking about. So they're, as good of shape as you could possibly ask. The odds makers love the Magic in this one. They're 7.5 point favorites at home. We've got a total of 211.5. Toronto 15-13 against spread on the road, 24-16-1 against spread for a loss. Orlando 17-13-1 against spread at home, but only 12-18-1 against spread after a loss. Guys, I'm actually going to be taking the Toronto Raptors and the points on the road in this one. I do think Orlando probably ends up winning this game, but Toronto has the size and the athleticism to really slow down Banchero and Franz Wagner, so I think we see this be a very close game down the stretch and maybe a little bit of extra shot making there from Orlando, and mostly Paolo Banchero ends up getting them the win. Next up, we've got our first nationally televised game of the night, a game that's only nationally televised because the NBA clearly thought that Wembanyama was going to be playing at this point in the season. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder going on the road to take on the San Antonio Spurs. The Thunder have won 4 out of their last 5. That loss, that brutal loss where they just let the Timberwolves overcome that huge deficit, but they bounced back with a close win against the Nets and then a comfortable win there at the Atlanta Hawks. The Thunder, comfortably one of the best teams, probably the best team in the West. They're 48-11 on the year. I'm not going to dive too deep into their stats against the Hawks. Suffice it to say, SGA, real good at basketball, continues his MVP campaigning. He's just playing really well, and just in general, guys, the Thunder are very much a team to be scared of. Chet Holmgren not going to be playing in this game, it doesn't look like, which is obviously not ideal. Yeah, that ankle issue is going to keep him out, but we see Hartenstein right there ready to, come up with, ready to make up for those minutes. Jalen Williams backing him up, not a problem. Jalen Williams, ready to have a big night. Dort ready to put people in the torture chamber. Like, this team is ready to go, and it's one of the most dangerous teams out there in the entire NBA. They're going on the road in this one to take on the San Antonio Spurs, who are 24-33 on the year. They've actually lost 4 in a row, and it's getting real bleak out there. I would have thought that we would see big stuff from De'Aaron Fox, after coming over, but it's been quite a mess, to be honest. I mean, we've seen a lot of Fox and Chris Paul playing at the same time. That seems insane to me. Fox only made 3 field goals in that loss to the Rockets. It was very brutal. The bench played much better. Keldon Johnson actually played really well in the loss, but we saw the Spurs shoot only 17% from 3-point range. Like, that's not going to get the job done, and they got crushed, destroyed, dominated on the board. So a lot of problems right now for San Antonio, and I don't know when they're going to be getting better or if they're going to get better this season in general. Maybe they just want to lose out here. That's definitely something I would think the front office would be interested in. Is that something the players are going to be interested in? Well, you wouldn't think so, but it's happening either way, sweetheart. So I don't know what to tell you. These Spurs, they're fully healthy for this game, so we'll see what they can do in this matchup. The odds makers giving them 12.5 points here at home. We've got a total of 240 out there. The Thunder, 15-12-2 against spread on the road, 27-17-3 against spread after a win. The Spurs, 13-15 against spread at home, 4-6 against the spread on no rest this season. And right now, guys, they're playing Memphis, so they've got to go from Memphis back home to San Antonio. So definitely a travel spot as well. I'm going to be taking the Thunder here at minus 12.5. It's not going in the pin comment. It's kind of too big of a number for me, but honestly, I don't know if it is, because the Spurs are going to be tired after that game and after traveling. They've been playing really bad. The Thunder can run it up on you and run it up on you in a hurry. I don't think they're going to have that much trouble playing on the road. So give me the Thunder minus 12.5 in this one. I would say it's a medium-sized lean. Rolling right along, guys, we're looking at the New Orleans Pelicans going on the road to take on the Utah Jazz. The Pelicans lost game 2 of their little 2-game series there at the Suns, but in the second game, guys, we saw CJ McCollum and Zion both end up sitting out. So we do pretty much expect both of them to be back for this game, I would imagine. And we've seen some good stuff from this team down the stretch. I mean, McCollum and Zion both there on the injury report, but yeah, I would expect him to play. I guess McCollum is questionable with a right ankle sprain, but I think it was more of him getting the night off than an actual injury. And the same kind of situation for Zion. Yeah, Zion, they just put straight up rest. It's been very interesting, a little bit exciting to see Zion, back looking like he's actually in real basketball playing shape, like he's ready to go now after so many injuries. And shocker of the year, he's been staying healthy here for a bit. So turns out being in shape makes a difference. CJ McCollum, obviously an old guy, but we're liking a good amount of what we're seeing from the Pelicans. Obviously, it's far too little, far too late at 16-44 on the year, but they're doing some good stuff, and they're going on the road to take on a tanking opponent in the Utah Jazz, who are 15-44 on the year, but they're fresh off a 1-point win there against the Timberwolves. A crazy game for sure. I mean, we saw, the Jazz, and they shot a similar amount of free throws. The Jazz shot 40% from the field in that game, like very good. 40% from 3, 51% from the field. Good stuff up and down the lineup. John Collins had a massive game, putting up 29 points. Markkanen didn't even play out there. And yeah, it's interesting to see these Jazz players, still putting in the effort, even though their team is very much designed to lose at this point. In terms of the injury report, we see Markkanen going to be out for this game. Jordan Clarkson also on the injury report with his foot. Sounds like he's probably, he is out. He is confirmed out. So yeah, no Jordan Clarkson for this game. It doesn't look like. Markkanen, he's just been ruled out against the Timberwolves. So we don't know about Markkanen. That's kind of an unfortunate one to not know about. Looking at the numbers for this game, seems like they expect Markkanen to play because the Jazz are getting 4.5 points here at home. We got a total of 233.5. The Pelicans, 9-21 against spread on the road. Those numbers don't mean too much to me, though, because, mostly came without Zion. They're also 17-25-1 against spread after a loss. The Utah Jazz, 16-14 against spread at home, 9-5 against spread after a win. But guys, I'm going to be leaning here towards the Pelicans at minus 4.5. I think they find a way to get the win and cover here on the road. They're playing pretty hard. They're playing pretty well. The Jazz are designed to tank. I'm going to need an updated injury report on the Jazz because if Markkanen ends up playing and Jordan Clarkson ends up playing, maybe that shifts our perspective on this game a little bit, but still, guys, I think the side you want to be on is those Pelicans. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves going on the road to take on the Phoenix Suns. The Timberwolves, 32-29 on the season. They're fresh off of that tough loss there against the Jazz. We had no Anthony Edwards in that game as he was suspended there for, too many technical fouls, so That's unfortunate. He also got fined for throwing that ball into the stands, although that looked like a pretty soft toss into the stands. So I don't know what to make of that really, but I know he needs to chill out a little bit, stop getting those technical fouls. Young man, you do not want to be turning into the next Draymond Green, I can tell you that. But we'll see what he does, see if anything changes this season. I kind of don't expect it to right off the bat. They played a tough game there against the Jazz, missing three of their best players, or at least their highest paid players, and we had some Dante DiVincenzo moments, but he didn't look amazing. Only 4 of 13 there from the field. They shot around 40% from 3, so you can't expect them to do too much better than that, but they get crushed on the boards there by the Utah Jazz. So we'll see what Minnesota can do, see if they can bring it back here. They've been missing Rudy Gobert. That's, I don't know how much they miss Julius Randle, who's been missing, extended time, but Gobert, guys, he's probably going to be out for this game. Oh, no, he is confirmed going to be out for this game, so that's not ideal. They could use him back. They could definitely use his rebounding out there, but we'll see what they can do here on the road against the Suns team that has not been having a good time either. They are fresh off a win against the Pelicans, but it was the short-handed Pelicans, so let's not freak out too much. At 28-32 on the year, this team is probably the second biggest disappointment in the NBA behind teams like the 76ers, but Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are clearly miserable out there. They're still playing well. We've seen, good stuff, but the most interesting development for the Suns, basically in the whole season, except for, it is, I guess, interesting to watch a team like this implode, is Bol coming out and playing really, really well now that they're letting him play. Just let this dude play. I don't know, free Bol. I don't know what's going on. He put up 25 points, 9 of 12 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3. Obviously, you can't expect him to shoot the ball that well from 3 all the time, but the dude needs to be out there. You're obviously not a team that's looking to compete this year. Get the young man some minutes. Let's see what he can do. Kevin Durant, clearly super miserable out there, not taking a ton of shots, only 10 shots attempted in the whole game. He is done with this, and he is getting out of Phoenix. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Interesting to see what Devin Booker tries to do. He only had 17 points in the win. So, yeah, this Phoenix Suns team, guys, is an absolute mess. We'll see what goes on. Bradley Beal, congratulations, guy. You got to hold the entire team and kind of the entire league hostage there with your no trade clause. He's questionable for this game. I don't know if he really moves the needle for me at all. We see Grayson Allen. He's probably going to come back and play, but he's dealt with a lot of injury this year and hasn't quite been himself. The Suns 1.5 point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 227. Minnesota 16-15 against spread on the road, 12-15-1 against spread after a loss. The Suns 9-19-1 against spread at home, 5-21-1 against spread after a win. That's an NBA worst mark against spread after a win. This is a tough one, guys. I'm leaning towards the Timberwolves here. It's probably not going in the pinned comment. I just don't trust them enough, but I think Anthony Edwards comes back with a vengeance. I think the Suns are kind of a disaster area right now, so I think the Timberwolves get a win, but it may not go that way. We'll just have to wait and see, but definitely think Minnesota is the side you want to be on. Next up, guys, we're looking at the LA Clippers going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. The Clippers 32-27 on the year, but they're fresh off a 106-102 loss there at the Lakers. There's a little 2-game series there at the Lakers in the battle for LA. The Clippers couldn't quite get the job done there at the end. Zubac actually had a big day. 27 points, 13 of 15 from the field, showing that the Lakers have a massive, massive weakness against big men who can score. That's going to come back to haunt them in the playoffs, but we saw Kawhi put up 21 points. That was impressive, but the way he's moving out there on the floor, guys, I just don't think there's very much left in the tank. Zubac with the big game. Harden only 18 points, 1 of 10 from 3 for him, so that's not going to work. Having no Norman Powell out there was obviously a huge, huge deal. It sounds like, according to what Ty Lue is saying, that we're probably going to see Norman Powell play in this game. It's not for sure, but I think it's close to for sure. So we'll see if he actually suits up here. Obviously, these are pretty important games for them against the Lakers. The Clippers, a team that's, kind of just hanging in there. They're currently sitting in the 6th seed, but they are tied with the Warriors, only a half game up on the Mavs, 1 full game up on the Timberwolves, and 1.5 games up on the Sacramento Kings. The Clippers could fall completely out of the playoff picture if things go south. They'd have to go south pretty aggressively, don't get me wrong, but it's far from impossible, and you really don't want to end up in the play-in out there in the West, guys. That's going to be some crazy, crazy stuff, and yeah, the Warriors are going to be fighting their ass off to take that 6th seed away from the Clippers. So we'll see how things go for the Clippers. The Lakers come into this game, obviously, playing well, winners of 5 in a row. In their win, we loved what we saw from LeBron. Luka, just a pretty inefficient night. He did a decent job getting to the line. Way too much complaining, way too many turnovers, 6 turnovers in the game. You had 31 points. Congratulations. Let's figure out a way to tighten that up a little bit because it did not always look great. Austin Reeves only playing 9 minutes. That was a huge problem. Apparently, he had diarrhea or something. I'm not 100% sure why he ended up only playing 9 minutes. It wasn't an actual injury, though. He, does look like he's going to be ready to go for this one. Hopefully, they got the poor guy, something to get him a Gatorade, guys. Let's get him a Gatorade. Oh, they're putting him down as a calf thing. Apparently, no serious injury, though. So that sounds like a cover up to me, if I'm being honest. Rui Hachimura could end up missing this game, which is obviously not ideal. Yeah, left patellar tendinopathy. So sounds like he's legitimately out for this game, apparently. Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. So yeah, pretty much looking like no Rui for this game. I'm not too worried about that, but it's obviously, a concern. It's definitely something of a concern. We actually saw Dalton Connect come back and play well for the Lakers. So looking at the injury report for the Clippers, the main thing we want to see is whether or not we're going to have Norman Powell. And like I said, it sounds like we are. Other than that, everybody should be ready to go. The Lakers are 2-point favorites at home in this one. We've got a total of 219. The Clippers, 12-18 against spread on the road, 13-13 against spread after a loss. The Lakers 18-11 against spread at home, 20-15-1 against spread after a win. Guys, I'm taking the Lakers to run it back and win this game twice in a row. I think we'll see Luka get better and better here and more comfortable in his Lakers jersey. He'll start to limit the mistakes. I think we'll see the Lakers get healthier. I don't know if they'll be healthier for this game, but having more Austin Reeves will definitely be better. I am worried about them giving up a ton of points to Zubac again, but I think that's less of a concern after, they saw feeding Zubac did not result in them getting a win. So give me the Lakers in this one, but it's only a small lean. Now, guys, changing gears a little bit here, we're headed over to the college side. We're going to look at Florida Atlantic going on the road to take on South Florida out there in the American. The FAU Owls, guys, they've lost 3 in a row now. They lost by 10 against North Texas their last time out. They've got to be feeling a little bit better. They get to take on a South Florida team they beat by 22 earlier this season, but it has not been smooth sailing when they've gone against these better teams in the conference. I mean, we see FAU, they're middle of the road, 8-7. They're in conference play. Don't have a big time leading score. The offensive numbers are reasonable. They're around top 50 in the nation, but the rebounding a little bit sketchy, and the defense is straight up not very good. So we'll see if they can run it back against the South Florida team, which, it's going to be a little bit of a big ask. The South Florida Bulls, 13-16 on the year. They're fresh off a very, very close game there against Temple. They ended up losing at Temple by only 2, which, that's a little bit brutal. Obviously, this isn't a team going anywhere important this season. Only 6-10 in conference play, but South Florida guys, they've got some fight in them. They've played tough. They've played some hard games. So we'll see what they do down the stretch. They're not a team that I'm ready to completely write off. They're not great on the boards or defensively either. So maybe this does end up being an easy game. We see South Florida, they're only getting 2.5 points here at home. We've got a total of 154.5. FAU, though, guys, only 4-7 against spread on the road. They're 14-13 to the over. USF, 4-9 against spread at home this year. They're 18-10 to the under. Guys, that's just not enough evidence for me. Looking at their old game where Florida Atlantic won by 22, we saw South Florida. They didn't play horrible in that game. They shot 31 free throws. They shot 30% from 3. We just saw Florida Atlantic be the way better team. So give me the Florida Atlantic Owls here on the road. I think they find a way to get a comfortable win and cover. Next up, guys, we got the biggest game of the night there on Sunday in college basketball. And I say night, it's a 12:30 tip, so definitely not night. Number 11 Wisconsin going on the road to take on number 8 Michigan State. The Badgers come into this game 22-6 on the season. They're fresh off a blowout win there against Washington. They've been playing really, really well down the stretch. They did have that tough loss against Oregon, but other than that, they have pretty much been cruising this season. Not a lot of negatives to find here for Wisconsin. They've got a monster leading scorer in John Tanji, 20 points per game, almost 50% from the field. Not a lot wrong with that. A very good offensive team as well, putting up around 82 points per game, 26th in the nation. The defense, maybe not super elite. The rebounding could be improved, but really, guys, not a lot of huge problems for this team. We do see their point guard could end up out for this game, so with a leg injury, but it doesn't look that devastating. I think there's a decent chance he ends up playing in this game, but keep an eye on that. Otherwise, guys, I like a lot about what we're seeing here from these Wisconsin Badgers. They're going on the road to face a very tough opponent, though, guys. Michigan State has almost completely differentiating themselves as the best team in the Big Ten. They are technically tied with Michigan, so both teams 14-3 on the season, but with a 75-62 win at Michigan earlier this season and another game against Michigan, but a home game this time for Michigan State looming, I think they probably feel pretty good about where they're at. Their last time out was a 58-55, just a rock fight of a win there against Maryland. So it's nice to see you can win in multiple ways. This Spartans team, guys, a solid offensively, elite on the boards, and just a dominant defensive team, allowing only 66.8 points per game. You do not see that very often, guys. Tom Izzo has this team really playing crazy high effort. This is a good team. There's no doubt about it. And the odds makers agree, guys. Michigan State 4-point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 146.5. Wisconsin is 7-2 against spread on the road. They're 17-11 to the over. Michigan State 9-5 against spread at home, though very good against spread at home, and they are 19-9 to the under. So not interested in that total, guys, but I am interested here at least a little bit in taking Michigan State at -4. I mean, the Spartans only have Iowa on deck. Wisconsin, on the other hand, they've got Minnesota on deck. So not a look-ahead spot for either team, and not a game that I'm going to have a ton riding on because I think it could be, and it's going to be a very entertaining game, so I'm excited to watch it, but definitely give me Michigan State here as a small lean. Next on the docket, we're headed to the Missouri Valley. We've got Northern Iowa going on the road to take on Bradley. The Northern Iowa Panthers, guys, they're now in third place in the MVC with a 14-5 conference record, so that looks good. They're fresh off a blowout win against UIC. This game against Bradley will be their last regular season game of the year. They've done very good things. The rebounding is really the only part of this, the whole thing that worries me for these Panthers. The last time they played Bradley, they got an 83-69 win at home. So now they got to go on the road and kind of prove it here, and they're taking on the Bradley Braves, who are 23-7 on the year. They're ahead of them technically in the standings. They're both teams are 14-5 overall, though. We see Bradley, fresh off of wins against Murray State and Valparaiso, but both those games were fairly competitive. This Bradley team, not as good on the defensive end as you would think. The offense is fine. The rebounding, not so hot, though, guys. And we see Bradley, they're 4.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 140.5. Northern Iowa is 6-3 against the spread on the road. We see this being a pretty big under team. Bradley only 5-8-1 against spread at home, and they're a significant over team. Guys, give me Northern Iowa here in the points. I think the wrong team is favored. We've seen these two teams play each other already this season, and we definitely saw Bradley, take the short end of that stick, and I don't know if this is going to change too much. I mean, Bradley played pretty well in that game. The free throw numbers weren't that wildly different. Northern Iowa did shoot the ball well, but I kind of expect them to do that again. Next up, guys, another big game out there in the Big Ten. We've got Illinois going on the road to take on the number 15 Michigan Wolverines. The Fighting Illini, 18-11 on the year. They snapped that 3-game losing streak with a nice 20-point blowout win there against Iowa, but yeah, that doesn't fill me with tons of optimism. They've still got to take on Michigan and Purdue to finish their season. So this offense really going to have to put up some gaudy numbers because the defense, not very good. The rebound numbers are great. Some good chunk of that, though, is, they play at a very high pace. So we'll see what they do on the road here against one of the toughest teams out there. The Michigan Wolverines, 22-6 on the season, fresh off of that win over Rutgers. A 2-point win, albeit, but a win is a win. They've got a tough schedule remaining: Illinois, Maryland, and then Michigan State. So a bit of a look-ahead concern here, but I mean, I don't know, guys. Golden, a monster for this team. They're a very good offensive team in general. The rebounding numbers are good. The defense could use a little bit of work, but other than that, they're looking very solid. And they're 3-point favorites at home here. We've got a total of 158.5. Illinois 3-6 against spread on the road, 17-12 to the over. Michigan 6-8 against spread at home, 15-13 to the over. So first up, I think over 158.5 is fairly reasonable. I don't know if it's anywhere that I'm going to be putting that in the pinned comment, but I do think that's reasonable. I also think I want to be on Michigan -3 here at home. Illinois has not impressed me, especially against the better teams, and Michigan has something to prove here, and they don't want to go into these last couple of games without getting this win. Headed out to the American for the next one, guys. We've got number 18 Memphis going on the road to take on UAB. The Memphis Tigers, 18th in the nation, 23-5 on the year. They're fresh off of a 12-point win against Rice, so that's fine. It's not necessarily amazing, but they got to be feeling good about this matchup. They already beat UAB 100-77 earlier this year, so going on the road, obviously going to be tougher, but this team has some offensive firepower. PJ Haggerty, an absolute monster. I mean, 50% from the field, 22 points per game, 4 assists. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. This team isn't very good defensively, but their offense is elite. The rebounding numbers are also pretty good, so I'm sure they feel very confident in this spot. I mean, they're going on the road to take on a interesting UAB team that has won 4 in a row, including a nice 80-72 win there against Wichita State their last time out, but I'm not going to overreact too much, especially given what we saw happen in the first game in this series. I mean, we like, Lindenborg. He's a monster. We like this team's offense. They're very good. I mean, 83.4 points per game is 13th in the NCAA, but how is that going to hold up in this matchup? I mean, UAB is getting 2.5 points at home. We've got a total of 160.5. Memphis 5-5 against spread on the road, 15-13 to the over. UAB 8-7 against spread at home, 14-12 to the over. I think over 160.5 is certainly a reasonable play here, but maybe better than that, guys. I like UAB getting 2.5 points. This isn't going in the pinned comment. I'm not that convinced, but I do think they've got the revenge angle on their side. I think they can play much better than they played in the first meeting, and if that happens, guys, I think UAB could probably win this straight up. Last but not least here, guys, we're looking at Colorado going on the road to take on Kansas State. The Colorado Buffaloes, 11-17 on the year, having a pretty bad time. They're 2-15 in Big 12 play this year. They did get that nice win over Baylor, but they followed it up with a 7-point loss against Kansas, who seemed like they were just messing around in that game. That Kansas team is not good. But now they got to play another Kansas team. They're at the road against Kansas State here. We're going to have to see the Buffaloes improve a lot on the defensive end and in just across the board, guys. It hasn't been a very good team, not the best recruiting class. They've got to go back to the drawing board and kind of try and build this thing back up in the offseason, but we'll see what they do in this one against the Kansas State Wildcats, who are 13-15 on the year. They're 7-10 though in conference play, which looks not so bad. Unfortunately, they've lost 4 in a row, including 3 very winnable games here down the stretch. They got homered there at Utah, but then they lost against Arizona State. They lost at UCF their last time out. Now they get to play Colorado, a game that has to feel very, very winnable. They're not going to have a huge edge out there on the boards, but offensively and defensively, I think this does slant in their favor a little bit, and they need to be in desperation mode, guys. Kansas State, 6.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 138.5. Colorado, 3-5 against spread on the road, 14-12 and 2 to the under. Kansas State, 7-6 against spread at home, 16-12 to the under. Guys, I think we're going to see a little bit of a statement game here from Kansas State. I know they want to be considered for the NCAA tournament. I don't know what kind of consideration they're going to get at the moment, but I think this is a spot K-State probably gets the winning cover, but I'm not nearly confident enough to put it in the pinned comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and to get us closer to giving away a free hoodie. Same thing with subscribing, guys. Get us closer to 50,000 subs so we can give away a free hoodie for that. Get over to stumpthespread.com as soon as you can. Get on that free email list. Make sure you're checking your spam folder to make sure our emails aren't ending up in there. That's been a problem. And guys, let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Check out our premium picks. They've been red hot over there on college basketball. And guys, we will see you tomorrow for more sports betting action.